What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another deck profile here on the channel. Today, I'm talking about Bertolt Hoover Living Weapon. That's right, the big bad of the format. This is the deck that I took to Webcam Wednesday this past week, and let's just say this guy is all that he is cracked up to be. He's very, very good. And I don't even think that my list is particularly spicy, but I do want to put this list out into the world as a decent starting point for you all at home. If you are interested in playing Bertolt Hoover but don't know where to start, this list felt very, 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 very good. So, before we jump in, I will say that my list was focusing on the front side of Bert. I'm going to draw 2, discard 2, and then grab +2 or -2 damage based on that. The reason why is I really care about the filtering that this does. Drawing 2, discarding 2, finding good block zones. Most of the time you don't need it. But more importantly, like sculpting better building hands or so on and so forth. And once you do flip over to the backside is very easy to just win with. It's very easy to just do the damn thing of the draw and then discard. At one point tonight, I did lose a game whenever I flipped over to the back. I left my rival at 1, and I just plumb ran out of attacks. And so the front side is actually better at finding the attacks that you want to play, but it is a little harder to then play all of the attacks. So the front side is for making sure that you can apply this constant pressure, and then the back side is to finish them off. I don't actually recommend going from the backside, trying to win the game exclusively from that point. It is just to, you should throw some pokes, throw some damage, hit them to half health, and then clean it up with Titan advancing. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the profile. So, the first attack that I want to play, and I think the MVP attack of the deck, is just Lethal Slash. Yes, this is a 4/2, but this one card makes you as good as what's happening on the front side. It makes you as good as what's happening on the backside because of its ability to leave the card pool after you play a move. So I've got my 4, 5, 6 foundations. I play an attack, I play Lethal Slash, I draw a bonus card, which is more options when it comes to using Bert, and then I discard my cards. It's a 3 high for 6 that, most importantly, it leaves the card pool. There was one turn that on turn 2, I played 3 of these bad boys. I had 3 extra cards in my hand. They had to deal with an extra 18 damage, and I felt fine because they were all on 5s on a 5 on a 5 because they just leave the card pool. Very similarly shaped, we have 4 Battle Aura release. This says flip one of my foundations. There are a lot of useless foundations inside of my deck whenever I build them into my stage, and so this card just says flip one of those in order to redraw a fresh one. Also gets a bunch of damage. This is the best card to play on the backside because this, by the time that I am flipping, I should have a bunch of face downs, hopefully, and so this can get like 10 damage kind of for free. Sometimes it's even more depending on like what we discard on Living Weapon side, but this card just hits like a truck. It's the heaviest hitting move, and it's something that they have to respect. So like going Battle Aura into Lethal Slash feels very good. As like, yeah, you have to deal with this one. I hope you had to have a high block here, and then hey, I hope you have 3 more high blocks for all the Lethal Slashes that I've got coming on. The next attack that I'm playing, and honestly, this attack felt fine tonight. It is unfair on the backside, but like okay on the front side, and it's just 4 tray size. Probably could have dropped down to 3. Excuse me. This card is unfair on the backside because of the fact that on Bert's static, it says that you may remove it. And so you play the card, you echo the card, and so you choose not to remove it. You draw 2 cards on Bert's backside, which is very much what the character needs. And then before the echo resolves, you get to just remove it from the game. And then we didn't care about it. This card is doing a one-sided version of what these cards do. This card says it draws an attack card, and the only attack that it can possibly draw is tray size. Combining that with the ability to, if you echo it, filter twice on Bert's side or draw 2 on Bert's backside, this card feels very, very strong. Really, really good on the backside though. Up next, the only real 3-diff attack that we have in the deck is just for Besieged. This card just says that it can't be blocked by good block modifier cards, and so it's always 6 speed at minimum. Card's incredible to play at the end of a string. It's got a solid 1 mid block. It's got a deadlock piece, and so if we happen to force them to deadlock, or they go to deadlock and we haven't flip, whatever, it gets extra damage. This card's just an all-around great card. It wears our stat pump really, really well. Of just like sometimes if they go to 6, one of these is just checkmate. Card feels borderline unfair. Up next, we have less power cards and more utility cards, and then we in the shape of Colossus SWAT. We're only playing this at a 3 of. Easily could be a 4 of if you really like how this card is shaped. It's a 5/0 for 5 with powerful, so it's the only real momentum out that we have outside of the Echo for tray size. But we could destroy the foundation for tray size, so it's the main momentum out that we are using. And it is a massive bomb by itself. Its stats are actually kind of bad, right? Like 6 diff in this deck does not feel good when we're running 2s. It's a 3 high block, so like even blocking with it's not very good. The important part of this is it says that we are allowed to flip early. Flip before my rival thinks that we are. So I've got my 7 foundations. I play a Colossus SWAT and I build 2 cards off the top of my deck face down. I'm now up to 9. I build out the rest of my hand, which is all foundations, and then I flip with Bert and then nuke the board. So they are constantly in this fear of when does Bert flip over and transform? Like when does that happen? And they play the game accordingly. This says that I push the clock up by 1 turn. Or even better, I explode with Bert. It pops off. I then play Colossus SWAT, and then I build 2 free foundations. If my Bert goes from, we'll pretend that it's worst case scenario, and I did a bad job, and I exploded, and I only have 3 foundations. I have SWAT. I commit my 1. I build 2. I went +1 positive resources, and then whenever this card resolves, that is removed from the game. Maybe I play a second one. I will commit my 1 that's going to explode, and I build a 2 more. Very, very scary spot to be in on the backside when all of these are 5 high for, or 5 low for 7s that are just removing themselves. But honestly, it's just there to help you try and flip and grab extra resources. Also, I've got some pretty gnarly destroy foundation effects, and so being able to like have these foundations that I know that I'm gonna pop later might also just like be worth the card. Up next, I've got a singular copy of Attack Titan's Haymaker. I only own 1 of this card, so I genuinely didn't get to play it tonight. I didn't draw it tonight. It's the 1 of copy in like a 70 card deck, and so it combined with the fact that like it's a heavy hitting move and it's plus damage to all my things, just makes sense. But again, I just didn't get to play it. So if I had a second one, even though I didn't get to test it out tonight, I'd be playing a second one. I think 2 is the perfect number for this card in every single deck. That if you think, oh, Attack Titan's Haymaker would be good in this one, play 2 of it at the minimum. It's just so potent. It's so good. Up next, our last attack is not really an attack, but more of an action that has a 3 check, and it's just Wish Hard. This card says after it's discarded, you get to redraw a card, and so yes, it's a 4 damage move, but it's kind of a blank 4 damage move. Sometimes it has the stun too, but on the front side of Bert, I never, ever, ever want to play this card, strictly because I just have better things going on my first attack. Than just it's a 2 low for 6. Maybe if I am looking to dodge some counterplay, like I know that my rival is like holding showdown, then like the best attacks in your deck strictly just become like these 2 or this because they have to partial it. And so like there's an idea where sometimes you must pivot and hey, my Wish Hearts are going to be the things that kill you because these ones are going to get showdowned. There's that idea, but on the back we don't care what we're playing. In fact, this card gets a level up because we can't fail this one. Asterisks. I mean, we have the 2, but like sure, I'm down to commit my 1 foundation whenever I play my Wish Hard and I checked the 2. But like 9 times out of 10, you're just not gonna fail it, and it's still that 6 damage. And when you play it, you then redraw the card, and so its entire job is just it replaces itself. And that's it for the attacks. We're playing a lot. I think it's 24 attacks. It's a lot, but it's really because these 4 are the actions. Like we don't necessarily care about playing these ones until it's super late. And because of the fact that like we want to build out in this deck, we've got we've got quality ways to like draw and then discard 2 attack cards in order to give minus damage. It feels good to not to have this high attack count, especially with the ratios that we are playing. Onto the actions, assets, backups. We're only playing a singular backup, and it's just Grish's Attack Titan. Never felt awkward in my hand because sometimes you can get caught with it with Bertolt, and then because this is a singular card type in our deck, it can get stuck in our hand and not be discarded properly. But the ability to go and pick up our kill cards is very strong. Primarily being able to go and pick up the lethal slash is exactly what we want. Or I have I need to dig a little deeper. I will pick up the Wish Heart if like these ones just aren't in here yet. This card feels great. They never attack it for some reason because this card does represent an attack, but at the same time you do have to get to 8 damage in order to kill it, because it doesn't say sacrifice or lose X stamina in order to do the thing. It just says sacrifice it, and so they have to get through Bert's damage reduction as well as all the other damage reduction. So this is just, hey, this is a free attack as your 5-hand size character when you need it. Feels great. It also, whenever you decide to transform, you don't lose this card. It's just like a bonus resource that you have. But being able to just go find lethal slash or find besiege whenever you want to, just kind of a little crazy. Onto that, we've got our foundations, and normally whenever I do this, I go in their cards jobs of like aggro, defense, flow, disruption. We're not going to do that today, and the way that we're going to do it instead is we've got a ton of cards that trigger whenever you use Bertolt, and you'll just see what I mean. So first and foremost, we've got 4 Feral Shriek. This card says after it's discarded during the combat phase, you redraw a card. There are multiple ways, not just with Bert, to discard it in the turn, including itself on defense. One of my favorite things that you can do with this card is on your very first turn of the game when you're going second, you just build out your entire hand because this deck is prone to do that. And then whenever their turn starts, and I've got no cards in my hand, I will respond with this and then just like redraw a card, and then I'm off to the races when it comes to Bert. Because I always want to end my opponent's turn with at least 1 card in my hand. If I don't have at least 1 card in my hand, Bert's very, very prone to damage. I want 1 card, and this card helps us make that happen. The next one that we have, similarly shaped, is this is +1 resource to me. This is -1 resource to my opponent with Loss of Consciousness. This one doesn't necessarily have to be discarded. It just says when it enters the discard pile during the enhanced step. And so Bert's during the enhanced step, and there's some other ways that I can destroy it out of my stage that it enters during the enhanced step. But I get to then remove it from the game and selectively seal or take away all of the abilities of one of my rival's cards. So they have a problem card that's going to be a hindrance later on in the turn. I'll just get rid of it using this. So I'll redraw a card, grab 2 damage, or draw 2 cards, discard this one, seal their thing, give it +2 damage. Very, very strong. Next one is I'm With You. The same idea as Loss of Consciousness. If it enters the discard pile during the enhanced step, +2 or -2 damage. And so if I team it with just any other foundation, it's -2 because the cards match, and then another -2 by removing. So now Bert's ability now says -4. Or even better, I can team it with Mikasa's Admission that says after it's discarded, specifically discarded during the enhanced step, another +2 or -2. And so if I have any combination of these 8 cards, it is +4 or -4 damage combined with Bert, so +6 or -6 damage. It says that these little guys, these ones, start doing 10 for some reason. They start doing 10, and I redrew my my cards. It's very, very good. But that's all of the we'll call them jackpot cards. We're playing a full suite of them because I think it's important for you to have all of these options and truly just like disrupt my rival. If I had to make some changes, it would be maybe you could cut like a singular Loss of Consciousness, but man, you have to play these 8. You have to play these 4. These are your flex slots, I guess. Like, you don't necessarily have to have it, but board control is very good in such a straightforward aggro deck. And it's just doing the thing you want, right? So on to the foundations. Our aggro foundations, we've got double sacrifice for the cause. This card says that whenever I transform and I no longer have my discard outs, these cards all still work on the backside when I draw them. And so I can take and discard my Feral Tree, give it a bunch of damage, and then redraw my card. Or hey, this is +2 and then another +2 from its own ability. So here's +4. Or even sometimes, right? Even sometimes just being able to, you know, get bonus cards out of your hands that you can draw more. It feels very, very good, and you have to play this for this. And then the other thing is, whenever we are playing the game, there are things that are going to be interacting with the damage stat of our move, and this doesn't say non-character card. And so if my rival decides to play, I don't know, an example tonight, somebody played a Kami against me. They play Kami, attempt to put my card attacks damage to 0, and I just tell them no, I'm okay. I actually would like to keep it where it is. Or Invincible Iron Body was something that I fought against tonight. Sacrifice for the cause says no thank you. Titan Injection or Airy. This card says no because that reduces their damage to their health -1. Hey, I got the win. Up next, in a very similar shape, we've got 4 Botan's Coachings. This card's entire identity is just to be able to activate these cards specifically whenever we flip. And so there's a lot of times whenever, like, the skill expression of this card is after I flip, I actually have to sit here and wait and try and draw these cards on my I drew a card before I can flip. Otherwise, I'm gonna find this one as long as I don't have sacrifice. I'm gonna draw this card. I'm gonna lose value on the turn, specifically when it comes to Feral Shriek, because again, the backside can be inconsistent because of how the drawing works. Yes, you can play every card that you want, but if as your 5-hand size character, if I just like miss on attack cards, then I kind of lost the game. And so this card's just like a bit of a consistency fixer. Up next, we've got our Foundation Destruction cards. We've got Double Coming to Terms. I love this card in this deck. I think that this is our copy of... this is doing everything that like something like an Immortal Shapeshifter does, except for it's a 1-diff, which means it's way easier to play, especially in our 2-check deck. And it says that if I happen to build either of these 2 cards, I'm allowed to build them into my stage and then destroy them to activate their effects. And this card, again, this beats Airy. It beats Titan Injection because it says after it deals damage, they just lose an extra one, and this is allowed to end the game. And then my next one, I have Attack Titans Hardening. In-hand Sacrifice Foundation, -1 damage. If you cycle this turn, you can give +1/+1 instead. You can give +1/+1 instead. This is a little more DR, just a little bit more DR. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be sacrificing your own foundations. But if you do find a deck that is faster than yours and you have any I'm with yous, I will Bert to draw then -2 to 6 damage, and then I can destroy my I'm with you for another -1 plus -3. And so sometimes this is draw 2, discard 2, and then destroy 1 foundation for -9 damage. That deletes not just like 1 attack, but like 2 attacks, depending on what this is. Like they go for this big, huge, powerful, crazy move, and like this was just enough to get me there. Or I'll destroy and -1 damage and seal their best offensive piece, just trying to get me back to my turn. It could be good enough, or once you've cycled, which is not hard to do with this deck, it's now +1/+1 on all of my moves. Up next, we've got our Foundation Builders, and that is just triple Weapons Clash. Probably could go up on this number, but I feel like 3 was kind of exactly where I wanted to be with this one. It did not feel like I was missing the 4th copy of this card, because the thing is this does cheat in Foundations, but I do need my stuff to kind of do things. And because of the fact that I am playing all of these blank cards of the I'm going to discard a bunch of cards, and then all of these I'm going to discard cards in order to try and grab bonus stuff, they're kind of dead in my stage. And so as soon as I flip this and build one off the top of my deck, these cards are blank, and I want my stage to do a little bit of something, you know? It's got to do a little something. And then from here, triple always cool. Could have been the 4th. I would probably have put the 4th in the sideboard if we make a sideboard, but it's fine as is. Up next, we've got probably my least performing card in the deck. It was for Capture the Target. This card was honestly not that great. The idea here is that I have built the deck to want to be played on Bert's 1 side, and because Bert's 2 side removes all the cards, I'll never have 3 in my card pool for Capture the Target. So as soon as I transform, these cards are all sealed. They're all blank. They just don't exist. But on Bert's 1 side, my idea here is I play my 3 moves, and these are extra foundations. Well, the issue with that is Tam, you made your deck too consistent, and you're playing a bunch of lethal slashes on the front side, so you also just don't have the cards to be played. This card was probably my least favorite card. I could genuinely see myself cutting all 4 of them. I probably just didn't need them. At minimum, I am going to be cutting 2 in the future, whether it's to put in these other 2 buildable cards. But this card just like super underperformed tonight. But if you decide not to go for the lethal slash route, I would probably recommend still sticking with these ones. And then on to a little bit of defense. We've got just triple surviving the final. It's a 0 diff in your 5-hander. I would be playing 4 of it, but again, it's not a very high impact. It's not a power player when it comes to being on my board. Again, we're not really necessarily looking to block. We're looking to kind of damage reduce everything. And so the main reason to play this is it's a 0/5 with a 3 high block for block zone coverage, just in case. Easily could have just been one of these if we wanted to build out a little cleaner, but it's fun. And then my last one for the same idea is just triple syndicate target. It's a stats card, 0/6, 0 low block. Good for the block. Was relevant at some points. I was looking for more of these, and so a very easy fix is just to take one of these and make it the bonus. It is randomly a 6, and we do play multiple 6 checks in here, and we have 3 very potent 6 diffs, and so whenever the stars line up there, it would probably feel very good. Definitely recommend putting the 4th one in. And so with that, that's Bert 2. That's Living Weapon. Again, I don't think this is the end-all, be-all version of what this character looks like. This is just a very straightforward, blank starting spot for this character. Genuinely, and I hate to admit it, this deck was very fun on my end to play. I thought this was a blast for me, and I had fun trying to figure out the puzzle. Do I think that this character is, I pick this up and I win the game? The answer is no. I don't think that you pick this deck up and you automatically win every game that you play. I do think that its win percentage, there is a certain amount of percentage of wins that are just going to be free. The stars are going to align for you. It is a 5-hand size aggro character. It draws your entire deck. It gives you a bunch of damage. If their deck does not put up any amount of defense, you're just going to win the game. There are some times that you're going to transform, and you will win the game on the spot. Oh, my light fell. You will win the game on the spot, and that's going to feel very good. But there's sometimes that you're going to miss. There's sometimes that your rival's going to have interaction, and I think in those games it's going to feel very bad. You're going to go, why is this character even cared about? I think you're going to have a lot of 80-20 matchups, a lot of 90-10 matchups. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't practice with the deck and make it the best possible version. Again, this is just a very a decent starting point, I think. So with that, thank you much for watching the video. I do greatly appreciate it. This deck is very fun to play on my end. Might be a little annoying for my rival. It's pretty good. But if you like this, make sure you go and you check out the entire VOD where I play this deck at Webcam Wednesday. Go see how the deck plays and how it pilots. And make sure, if you're looking to join me on Webcam Wednesdays, every Wednesdays, small asterisks unless there's holidays, over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TamCardwell. If you're interested in doing that, join the Discord in the description of this video down below. And every week I put out infographics about the decks that we play. So with that, thank you much for watching this video. I do greatly appreciate it. And as always, I wish you well.